Hi, I'm Ed Giedel, Risk Manager for the Department of Public Safety.
Hi, I'm Jake Miller. I'm a Compliance Officer in the Compliance and Professional Standards Office.
My sister and brother-in-law lost everything they owned under 5 to 6 feet of water in the hurricane.
On August 17th, I was in Barcelona with my wife and sister-in-law when there was a terrorist attack on the Rambla.
Well, Friday, August 25th is when the hurricane really hit their area. They live in Spring, Texas, just north of Houston. And they had made arrangements. They live in a first floor apartment, and if necessary, they would go up to their neighbors on the second floor. When the water got to 12 feet of their door, they did in fact have to go upstairs to the neighbor. Shortly thereafter, they heard a boat in what was their parking lot, requiring a mandatory evacuation. And they said, well, why? Because we're up here, we should be safe. And they said, no, there's an 8 to 10 foot storm surge that is coming. You must leave right away, but you cannot take anything other than a backpack or your purse. So they had made provisions with they have a suitcase. They could not take the suitcase. They had literally the clothes on their back.
So the day before the attack, I had actually gotten sick with food poisoning. And so I was laid up in bed back at our hotel. But my wife and sister-in-law had decided to go shopping, and so they took the metro down to La Rambla, which is a main shopping center, and had gone into one shop, and as they were exiting the shop, they saw a bunch of people running towards them. And at first they thought it was maybe just some kids running, but then they realized that there were also old people running as well, so they knew it was very serious, and sort of took shelter into a little shop on the side of the street and waited there until they got some more information.
They were in torrential rain on the boat with other people. The first responders took them to about 5 miles to a nearby church. They were able to get into the church with about 60 other people, but no one from the church staff maintenance-wise was there, so they couldn't open any kitchens. They had no food, no hot water, no tea, coffee. They spent the night in their wet clothes with the air conditioning full tilt because they couldn't turn it off. It was controlled from a remote location.
They had to try to find a way to get back to our hotel, but La Rambla was blocked, and so every street that they tried to go to get back onto the other side of La Rambla was closed, and the police were there telling them that they had to leave the area. So shortly after the attack, my wife called me and said that there had been an attack, and woke me from sleep. And so I had no clue what was going on, and there was no information online about how serious or about the number of fatalities or anything like that. And so emotionally that was pretty difficult because my wife is actually pregnant. We're expecting our first child. And so being in a situation where I was sick in bed and she was in the streets where there were potentially follow-up attacks was pretty difficult. Eventually they finally were able to make their way back. They found a street that they were able to cross La Rambla, and they had to walk back home because the subways, the metros were all closed, and there were no taxis or anything, so they had to walk for about an hour to get back to our hotel, back to me. So it was quite an ordeal.
That Sunday morning, they were able to be taken by the fire department to friends' homes, a home in that area, and where they are today, so they are safe and rebuilding. As a public safety employee, of course, we're totally focused on just that, maintaining the safety of the public. I was very frustrated because I was 1,000 miles from my sister and brother-in-law, and could not provide any safety per se other than advice. However, it was the first responders, the public safety personnel in Houston, who stepped up to the plate and did what I couldn't do here in Colorado. And for that, I was very grateful to them for that.
It was really great to see the response of the professionals over there, of their public safety, of their police. My wife mentioned the incredibly quick response of the police. And as everybody was running away from La Rambla, they're the ones running in, trying to protect people. And there's a universality to that. I think Obviously, here in CDPS, we have a lot of folks who would do the same things, who would be the ones running in when everyone else is running out. And so that, that's an important and really touching thing for somebody who doesn't necessarily, or isn't the one going to be running in. The fact that we have these men and women who are willing to do that is incredibly important and touching, and it's great to see.